There is a Mexican-Norwegian forward who could be interesting for Chivas. And he even has better records in this country's league than Erling Haaland. Do you want to find out who he is and see how he plays? Stay here with me and we will talk about it next. I am Jesus Bernal and I thank all of you for your attention. Thank you very much for being here with me to talk about the latest regarding the Chivas team and Magnus López, the Mexican-Norwegian forward. It has already become clear that the Chivas team has been expanding its limits for some time now when it comes to the players they sign. And obviously all the players who have the possibility of dual nationality are interesting for the rebaño. One of them is Magnus Francisco López, a Mexican-Norwegian forward with a Mexican father, which is why he has dual nationality. Currently, he plays in Norway's lower leagues, but is really making a splash. He has scored at least 78 goals in the past few days. In those same categories, Haaland scored 60, so his numbers are extremely good. Here we see a bit of the profile. He is 19 years old, he is 1 meter and 92 centimeters tall, and he was born in Oslo, in the country of Norway. He plays center forward. In recent NEM Cup matches, he played once and scored a goal. In the league, look, out of 24 matches, he played 19 and scored, or has scored, 14 goals. As mentioned, he holds dual nationality and currently plays for Nordstrand. Obviously, I am not saying Chivas has to go after him so he can debut with the first team right away. No, but I think he is an interesting prospect, one of those that Chivas could recruit and bring in to finish developing as a player. What would you think of this kid who has more goals than Haaland in the Norwegian youth leagues? Well, I would like to hear your thoughts and stay tuned, because up next we are going to see how Magnus López plays. Alright, I am going to show you a compilation of videos I found while searching the internet to see some of the best plays, the best actions of Magnus, right? And here we see him, he is number 20, the one with the orange shoes. He is a forward, and you are about to see the change of pace he has, right? And with his stride, obviously, this player gains a huge advantage. That play ended in a goal by Magnus López. He is precisely the Mexican-Norwegian forward we see here scoring this goal for his team. He is not the only one. Here comes another goal, a header into the net. Magnus also has that ability. There we see him being congratulated by his teammates as well, but he also has some other gestures that are very, very important. Here we see another double. Magnus closing in the center to finish quickly and send the ball into the net. Again, a delayed pass and a quick cross led to another goal. Watch how he presses and how these forwards support the team. He excels at that. Although it did not result in a goal, he recovered the ball near the opponent's box. Here he is again. Watch how he fights, presses, battles, and recovers the ball. Part of his characteristics, a bit of the effort he puts in. Here we are also going to see another play where he ends up chasing to recover a ball, this cross that is going to be finished by Magnus. There they managed to clear that ball that seemed interesting, right? Look, there it is. Once again, he goes, fights, battles, chases, recovers, and creates a goal-scoring opportunity for his team. So I also find this quality of the boy extremely interesting. Here we see him at the far post, how he shows up to finish the play and push the ball into the back of the net. That is why I am telling you, right? And especially since we are talking about a striker, I am sure Chivas should have him on their radar because Mexican strikers are scarce. And this guy, honestly, at least in the lower divisions of Norwegian football, is doing really well. And he is only 19 years old. Again, right? He goes there, fights, competes, and battles. He has a good physique and might still grow a bit more. At only 19, he takes the cross shot. Excellent finish by Magnus López. That is good. Well, there we see it, right? Part of the skills this kid has to play soccer. Once again, the repetition of the play. A good cross shot to score the goal in this match. So what do you guys think? I would think, I do not know if they are going to bring him, but I do believe he is a player that Chivas should at least have on their radar. I insist these are the kind of players they bring in to finish developing them so they can eventually debut, but they have the physique and the qualities. Let us see if they surprise us in this transfer window, and maybe Magnus López could end up joining Chivas. Alright, and actually, speaking of these development topics and so on, Tapatío is looking for their next head coach. For now, Coach Arturo Ortega has been let go. He is no longer with the team after a season to forget. Tapatío's squad finished in 11th place, very low in the overall standings. This obviously was not well received by the management, and they said, Mr. Arturo Ortega, thank you for participating. And, well, he is now separated from the team. Even after a brief stint in the first division for Professor Ortega, you might remember that moment when Fernando Gago left Las Chivas and he stepped in to finish that tournament. In the end, the Rebaño made it to the play-in, but they lost to Atlas. He was the one who had to lose that match against the red and black team, and nothing else happened with him after that. He would return to Tapatío, where he was also a champion in that very tournament when he joined the first team. He leaves Tapatío already qualified, and between him and Pepe Melendez, they finished the job to win the institution's second title. So, well, he also has good numbers. Surely Professor Arturo Ortega will find a place somewhere else. Alright, hopefully that goal Javier Chicharito Hernández scored against Cruz Azul will be very useful, will really help the team, right? It is a goal that, well, for starters, it helped him relieve some of the stress and frustration he had from not scoring goals. But it is also a goal that can give Javier some confidence, right? Hopefully it will not be his last goal for Chivas. Even though he only has a few weeks left on his contract, hopefully he gets fired up and manages to score some goals that can help and benefit the team. Hernández has not had an easy time during his stay at all. It has been 2 very complicated years, full of injuries, full of setbacks, with few minutes on the field and obviously few goals. No, Chicharito has scored 4 goals in 2 years. That is very little. But I go back to the topic, right? Hopefully this goal against Monterrey helped to lift his spirits so he can regain confidence and help the team even more. I am convinced of one thing. But we should not let the emotions of that moment make us forget what has happened in the last 2 years. And not just because of that goal and the emotion it brought. Javier has to stay. I think his cycle is over. I have always said I am a huge fan of Chicharito, but I didn't want him to go back to Chivas since this situation was predictable, right? It was going to be complicated. Hopefully he finishes in a great way, and even better if he can leave the team as a champion. And well, Alan Pulido is one of those players who was highly regarded by Gabi Milito, and unfortunately he has been losing his place. The last game he played was on September 27th against the Puebla team. Mysteriously after that match, he did not play again. The October festivities interfered. And it seems like the coaching staff did not really like this situation. And not because he did not show up to practice, but because they found out that he was constantly out on the streets, at concerts and all the October festivities at odd hours at times that are inappropriate for a high-performance athlete. That is what has caused Pulido not being considered today. Since the Puebla game, he has not played and was just on the bench against Atlas, but by default, Gabi Milito leaves him out of the call-ups. He goes to the stands along with Cade Cowell. And well, Pulido will have to adapt to that, let us say. Let us see what the management will do with him at the end of the tournament, because the coach no longer counts on him, Among the rumors surrounding the Chivas team, there are several situations that I think could happen, right? That in the end could come true. Especially regarding the departures, like Alan Mozo's, which I have been asked about a lot. We need to remember the context here. Last tournament, the Chivas management had put 3 players on the transfer list: Victor Guzman, Fernando Beltran, and Alan Mozo. Pocho ends up in Pachuca, Nene ends up in León, and León had made an offer for Mozo. Chivas had approved it and accepted it, but it was Mozo himself who decided not to go and chose to stay and compete with the Guadalajara team. I think he is among those likely to leave today. First, because even before Gabi Milito arrived, the management had already decided that Mozo would not continue, and second, because today Mozo is the 5th option for Chivas. On the right wing, Richie Ledesma, Roberto Alvarado, Miguel Gomez, Jose Castillo, and Hugo Camberos, all of them have played ahead of Alan Mozo in that position. So I think this is also the clearest sign for the player himself. If an offer comes in during this transfer window, he will have to accept it and maybe move somewhere else where he can get more playing time. Well, to wrap up, I want to mention that things got tough for the Chivas Femenil team in the semifinals of the Liga Mexico. Yesterday, they lost to America Femenil by 2-0. And there is still the second leg, which will be next Sunday at 7 in the evening. That is when the match is scheduled. What would Chivas need to qualify? They need to win by a difference of 3. I am not saying it is impossible, because it can happen, and there have been times when teams have come back from a 2-0 deficit. But it is not easy. Actually, winning a match by a difference of 3 practically has to be almost perfect. So let us see how this whole thing ends. Chivas Femenil for now will have to work these days and next Saturday make their trip to Mexico City to focus. And from there, face the America squad on Sunday. Alright, we will leave this video here. Thank you very much for your attention. Keep subscribing, commenting, sharing, and liking, and I will see you next time. I'm Jesus Bernal. Goodbye.